Ferrari and Grand Prix racing at Monaco feel almost inseparable, especially when names like Michael Schumacher are part of the story. This weekend, Ferrari returns to the track in difficult, changeable conditions, with drivers sensibly choosing wet weather tires even though the circuit is only partially damp. Some of the cars running today also come from an era when Formula One briefly used groove tires instead of slicks, a design that didn't last long and was often worn down to something close to slicks by the end of a race. What we are really seeing is a snapshot of around a decade of Formula One development, roughly from 1998 to 2008, viewed through Ferrari's evolution. These were the Schumacher years, when Ferrari transformed from a struggling team into a dominant force. Schumacher joined Ferrari in 1996 after winning 2 championships with Benetton, but the team was not competitive at the time. With Jean Todt leading the management side and Ross Brawn driving the engineering direction, Ferrari steadily rebuilt itself, and Schumacher's relentless determination helped push the team forward. Their breakthrough came in 2000 with Schumacher's first Ferrari title, followed by a dominant run of championships in 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004. Ferrari continued to be a major force later on as well, with the dramatic 2007 season ending in Kimi Räikkönen winning the championship by just a single point over the McLaren drivers Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. Across these years, the evolution of the cars is clearly visible. The Ferrari red remains constant, but everything else changes. Nose shapes, wings, side pods, and aerodynamic details all shift as regulations evolve. The engines also change dramatically, moving through V10 and V8 configurations, including the 2.4-liter V8 era that produced around 930 horsepower and reached nearly 19,000 revolutions per minute, a sound and performance level still remembered as extraordinary. Cars such as the F2001, F2002, F2003 GA, and F2004 highlight Ferrari's progression from strong contenders to overwhelming dominance, particularly in 2004 when Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello secured an almost unbeatable season. Barrichello, while often in a supporting role, was an extremely capable driver in his own right and contributed important results, including emotional victories and controversial team orders that shaped his time at Ferrari. Later years saw Felipe Massa take on a similar role, particularly in the 2007 and 2008 seasons with the F2007 and F2008 cars, which featured even more advanced aerodynamics, revised tires, and tighter packaging rules. These seasons included one of the closest title battles in Formula One history. Today, these historic Ferrari Formula One cars are maintained and run through Ferrari's client program, allowing owners to experience them on track, including at Monaco. Even in mixed weather conditions, the cars are treated with great care due to their rarity and value. As the track gradually dries, they continue to demonstrate the noise, speed, and engineering evolution that defined a golden era of Formula One, shaped above all by Schumacher and Ferrari's dominance. The setting of Monaco adds even more weight to this history. Unlike permanent circuits, it forces the cars to run on narrow streets where every mistake is punished immediately. The lack of runoff areas, the tight barriers, and the constant elevation changes make it one of the most demanding tracks in the world. In these historic Ferraris, that challenge becomes even more striking, because you are seeing machines from different technical eras all being driven on the same unforgiving layout. As the track conditions improve, the cars begin to look more at home, gradually finding grip through the dry lines forming across the circuit. The sound of the engines, especially the high-revving V10s, cuts through the narrow streets in a way that modern Formula One cars simply cannot replicate. There is a rawness to it, less filtered, more mechanical, and far more visceral. Even the steering wheels inside these older cars feel simpler compared to today's complex, screen-filled designs, yet they still carry enough control to manage highly advanced machinery for their time. What becomes clear watching these cars together is how rapidly Formula One evolved within just a few years. Aerodynamics became more extreme, with increasingly complex front wings, bargeboards, and sculpted bodywork designed to manage airflow in ever more precise ways. Each regulation change forced teams like Ferrari to adapt quickly, finding new ways to recover lost performance, whether through suspension design, weight distribution, or engine development. At the same time, the human side of the sport remained central. Drivers like Schumacher, Barrichello, and later Massa were not just operating the cars but shaping their direction through feedback and development work. Their influence can be seen in how these machines evolved from year to year, especially during Ferrari's most dominant period. Now, seeing these cars run again in Monaco was almost like watching a moving timeline of Formula One. History. Each lap represents a different chapter, some from fierce championship battles, others from dominant seasons, and others from transitional years where rules were changing rapidly. Together, they create a living exhibition of one of the most successful eras in Ferrari's history, and a reminder of how quickly the sport has evolved while still holding onto its core identity: speed, precision, and competition at the highest level. Beyond the technical evolution and the nostalgia of the machinery, there is also something deeply emotional about seeing these Ferraris return to Monaco. For many fans, this isn't just about cars or performance figures, it's about memory. Each chassis carries echoes of a specific season, a specific battle, sometimes even a specific lap that defined a championship. When these cars reappear on a circuit like Monaco, those memories feel closer and more tangible, almost as if the past is being replayed in real time. There is also a clear contrast between eras that becomes impossible to ignore. Modern Formula One has become highly optimized, data-driven, and heavily regulated, whereas these earlier Ferrari machines still carry a sense of unpredictability. The drivers had to manage more mechanical feedback, more sliding, more variation in grip, and far less digital assistance. Even small mistakes in throttle or steering input could have immediate consequences, especially on a street circuit where barriers leave no margin for recovery. That sense of risk is part of what makes these demonstrations so compelling. Watching a car like the F2004 or F2007 threading through the tight corners of Monaco reminds you how close the limit always was, even in dominant seasons. It wasn't just about being the fastest car, it was about controlling that speed in an environment that constantly tried to punish it. Schumacher's greatness, in particular, was built on that combination of precision, consistency, and absolute control under pressure. At the same time, the event highlights how Formula One has preserved its heritage while continuing to evolve. Through programs like Ferrari's Client Operations, historic cars are not just displayed statically in museums but are kept alive, maintained, and driven as they were intended. That adds a rare authenticity to the spectacle. These are not replicas or reinterpretations, but original machines still capable of doing what they were built for. As the laps continue and the circuit slowly transitions toward full dry conditions, the pace naturally increases, but so does the sense of appreciation from those watching and driving. Each pass down the Monaco Harbour Straight or through the tunnel becomes a reminder of how unique this environment is for such a variety of Formula One generations to coexist on track. In the end, what stands out most is not just the performance or the history individually, but the way they come together in the present moment. Ferrari's legacy at Monaco is not a single story but a collection of eras layered on top of each other: Schumacher's dominance, Barrichello's persistence, Massa's near triumphs, and the constant evolution of the cars themselves.